Hi, this is Dee at Aloha Astro. We're looking at a new moon and a solar eclipse in the cardinal air sign of Libra occurring today at 2:49 p.m. Eastern Time, October 2nd, 2024. That will occur at 10 degrees 4 minutes of that sign of Libra. Let's take a look at the forecast for the energy around this lunation and eclipse. New moon and solar eclipse in Libra, Wednesday, October 2nd, highlights the balancing of masculine and feminine energy, as well as the intellectual and spiritual sides of your nature, while stepping into the unknown future with faith and curiosity, as the moon conjunct the sun and Mercury in Libra forms a trine aspect to Jupiter in Gemini, a quincunx to Saturn in Pisces, and a sesquisquare to Uranus in Taurus. A series of square aspects, including Mars in Cancer squaring the Libra planets and Chiron in Aries, Chiron squaring Pluto in Capricorn, and Jupiter squaring both Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, may stir up anxious feelings of overwhelm, inadequacy, fear of loss or rejection. But a grand trine aspect pattern in the water element involving Mars in Cancer, Venus in Scorpio, and Saturn in Pisces, as well as a minor grand trine consisting of Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, enables you to accomplish or manifest anything when you apply action, desire, faith, and discipline with the spirit of gratitude and constructive cooperation. The secret to navigating the emotional intensity of this new moon and eclipse is to be open to the underlying feeling of vulnerability activated by Venus sesquisquare to Neptune, and to welcome the possibility that the unknown or unpredictable energy brought by the moon, sun, and Mercury sesquisquare to Uranus can surprise you with what you will discover about yourself or the other. Follow your heart with a leap of faith and trust that the highest good principle is at work wherever love is. Let's take a look at the sky and the patterns that we have going on there. And here we see the cluster of Moon, Sun, Mercury. The South Node is also there, and the way that feels to me is that you may become more aware of your default programming, your general predisposition, or how you've always seen things. And what the aspects are enabling you to do is to shift your perspective and see things in a different way, or to welcome a change in perspective and to break out of your old patterns. Here are the squares that are going on, which definitely, the negative stuff can slide in, and it's important not to deny the things that are uncomfortable, painful, whatever's coming up, to not suppress them, to acknowledge them, to maybe even be grateful for those thoughts and feelings and what they are signaling to you, and to examine more deeply the why of things. The why of things is what's very present now while we have Jupiter moving through Gemini. And Jupiter is forming multiple aspects that sextile to Chiron, and the trine to Mercury, Sun, and the Moon is very supportive for self-improvement, growth, seeking to learn more about yourself and other people, to reach out and communicate if you would benefit by doing so, or to offer your wisdom to others who might benefit from it. But we also have the squares coming from Jupiter to both Saturn and Neptune, where if we get caught into the repetition of the woe is me, then we're limiting Jupiter's potential for actually propelling us forward or to a higher level. Because we've got Saturn and Neptune retrograde, we also have Pluto retrograde and Uranus retrograde. So those outer planets, the transpersonal, more generational planets, they often deal with the heavier aspects in life and the energy that's affecting society as a whole and where you fit in with all of that, especially your generational group. Anytime a planet is retrograding, it gives us the opportunity for paying more attention to it and going back over something. And since these are the planets that are being tweaked in the square aspects, the opportunity to perhaps bring things back up that have been avoided or denied or suppressed, or if you slapped a band-aid over something in the past and you didn't really process it properly or deal with the issue entirely, now may be a good time for going back over that. And because Libra does rule one-on-one relationships, and we have an interaction between Mercury, Moon, Sun, South Node, all in Libra, with Saturn, which is the planet of duty, responsibility, authority, commitment, perhaps it is time for a rethinking, a reviewing of your level of commitment to either an individual or maybe a larger organization. Even potentially the building of your future plans, goals, or dreams. And you may have already invested time or money in the relationships or the building of plans and dreams, and it may be time for a cleaning up, a reevaluation, sitting down and looking at how far have you come and where do you plan on going next, because a new moon does signal a new beginning. But we aren't in it alone while we're in the Libra season. We also have Venus moving through Scorpio, and when we get into Scorpio energy, we're merging our boundaries and our assets and our values, or we're defending against that merging with somebody else. Venus is a key player as well with Saturn and Mars here. This very much is about making something real, manifesting something. And with the power of water in that grand trine, it really is up to you where you're going to direct the energy and what you are going to get out of it. What do you really truly desire? Is it good for not just you, but other people involved as well? And then how much work is involved in making that happen? Because we have the desire and the pleasure principle of Venus, we have the action of Mars, the initiating energy, and then we have the discipline and the repetition and the sticking to something in order to sustain it. Ultimately, something can be sustainable. Commitments or vows can be reaffirmed at this new moon, or there can be an entire restructuring so that there's agreement between all parties as to what the future plans may look like. There could be surprises in store, though, because Uranus is also busy here in that sesqui-square with the Libra planets. And here's that sesqui-square with Venus and Neptune. And those are like undercurrents, things that you might not be fully conscious of or thinking about, but the planet of change, uniqueness, individuality, freedom, the unexpected, genius energy, really. And Neptune, the beauty, healing, inspiration, forgiveness, acceptance, tolerance, seeking a higher ideal. Those are planets that can help you to go further than where you are at right now, but it does require the vulnerability and that open mind to accept newness or change, something different. both in yourself and in somebody else. And I think vulnerability it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to be vulnerable and to open yourself up, because you do have to invite somebody else in, and then you have to be willing to accept whatever it is that they might meet you with. And it might not be what you're wanting, but it's the release of that control which might actually be the key to achieving that higher level of relating, which is what I feel that Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus are speaking to. That, like, if you do this, then you get that. These are like little, what would you call it? Wheels within wheels, and little cogs that this thing has to happen in order for that thing to happen. Otherwise, these are just behind the scenes aspects that might be popping up every now and then in your consciousness, but if you don't actually do anything with it, then you're not going to achieve the full benefit of the minor grand trine or the grand trine fully, because Venus is part of everything in there, both the grand trine, the minor grand trine, and we've got Mercury involved with that trine to Jupiter, which wants to make things better, as well as that aspect to Uranus. So improvement does come through being okay with things being different or changing in yourself and others, and with being vulnerable, open, the sincerity that comes from your heart with Venus and Neptune. Venus is our pleasure, affection, desire, tastes. It's love on a more superficial or attention-seeking way. But Neptune is love that is spiritual, deeper, more sustained, more tolerant or accepting, and more willing to sacrifice or give up something for the other. So we have the two planets that are associated the most with love in that kind of subliminal aspect with each other right now, that does point the way toward making everything better, and that really is to think from the perspective of love. And we have, it didn't even occur to me until just now, Libra is ruled by Venus, as is Taurus, where we have this cluster of Libra planets, the quicker moving personal planets, with Uranus, the planet of change, love. I'm proposing, based on this chart, this new moon and eclipse can be the energy that does change everything. All right, let's take a look at the Sabian symbol. And we are so very close to 10, but technically we round up to 11. Libra, 11 degrees, a professor peering over his glasses at his students. Keynote: problems attending the transmission of knowledge in a special cultural setup. This is a rather peculiar symbol for this phase of the process, and it reveals a rather humorous approach to what man's mind can accomplish at this stage. However, there seems to be no valid reason to make the image into some kind of a caricature, or to sentimentalize it by referring to a kind old professor. Rather, one should analyze the picture in order to discover its basic elements. The professor has dealt so much with books that he has greatly strained his eyes. In days when bifocal lenses were not widely used, he had to peer over his glasses in order to see his students. The symbol thus simply reveals two aspects of the condition of professorship, that is, of being able to transfer to the young generation the vast sum of knowledge accumulated by the past. The need to absorb this enormous amount of book knowledge affects the mind as well as the eyes. In order to meet the demands of the turbulent youth, The teacher, in a sense, has to look above this knowledge and to see his students simply as human beings. This is the first symbol in the 39th fivefold sequence. It deals at the intellectual level with the teaching of accumulated collective knowledge and the problem posed by the acquisition of that knowledge. This is what instruction means, a process not to be confused with education. Well, I feel like perspective is what this is about, to see things based on the information or knowledge that you've chosen to align with and claim it as yours. It's what you profess to be or to know, versus looking beyond you and looking at what new ideas or new people might have there for you. Certainly, there are more than one ways to be interpreting the Sabian symbols. They are simply imagery based on an intuitive interpretation of a degree of the zodiac, of all the 360 degrees. And it's really something for you to meditate upon and see what that symbol might say to you at the lunations. The particular symbol can be something that will awaken changes within you if you meditate upon it. In your own natal chart, you can find all your Sabian symbols if you're interested in learning more about them. I believe at Astro Theme, when you set up a free chart there and you click on each of your planetary placements on the chart within Astro Theme, it actually does give you the Sabian symbol for each of your planetary placements, as well as your prominent angles in the chart. And it can be a different way of looking at what is the energy of you at the time that you were born. I think that's all I have to say there about the Sabian symbol and the planetary transits at this time. In some ways, too, maybe, well, I'm sitting in the middle of an area of the country that has been severely damaged by a hurricane. And, you know, when you're in the energy of disaster, it is so profoundly altering for your own personal energy field. And when you're not physically in it and you're outside of it, you can be moved or horrified by the imagery you might see on the news, but it's not quite the same as being in the energy. And that is probably the most profound insight I've gotten from being in the path of this hurricane and having some cleanup associated. A tree fell in my driveway, missed my car by inches. I'm very grateful that lost power for a day and a tree cleanup was the least of my problems. You know, that there are other people now who do not have homes, do not have clean water, do not have power, and may not for quite a while. So some of this Libra and Aries axis is, you know, like there but for the grace of God go I, because of the Pisces energy here as well. We've got that North Node and South Node in Aries, and then we've got Neptune in Pisces nearby. Perhaps look for places where you can donate to help the people in this area, and even the animals and the animal shelters are in need of assistance. People are in need of assistance. And I thank you if you do decide to donate, or any other cause in the world right now that you feel that you would like to be able to make things better, because the keynote really is to bring forward improvement and growth and more love for everybody, for the world. Take care and stay safe, and I'll see you at the next lunation when we have a full moon arriving in 2 weeks.